So you want to become a temporary resident of Mexico, just like us? Then this is the video for you. Hi, I'm Lynn.
Hi, I'm Jace.
And we are Gen X
Quench.
Quench. And on our channel, we talk about all things Gen X and the things that we're involved in. And one of those things has been on the pursuit of one day eventually living abroad, and maybe permanently or just traveling and slow travel. But to start that process, we decided last year on becoming residents of Mexico and getting residency in Mexico, should I say. And so we started the process in August of 2024 at the Mexican Consulate in the US in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we have a video that goes through that whole process that we will
Check it out.
Link it out in the description. We'll put the link in the description so you can find out about that, because that's the first step of getting residency and probably citizenship. It starts here in the US at a consulate. I guess it probably is at a Mexican consulate wherever you are in the world.
Yes.
Yes. But we went through that process, had very detailed video about all the things that you need, all the paperwork, and that, as we said, we'll link that in the description below. But the second part of that process is that then you have to go to Mexico to finish the process, and you have 6 months to do that. And we were at month 5,
Yes.
because of the holidays and just some personal things that were going on. And so
Don't cut it too close.
Right, don't cut it too close. But we just recently returned from Mexico and are now official temporary residents. And so, Jace, we'll turn it over to you from the standpoint of picking up where we were as far as that process.
Yeah, so just so you all know, we got our temporary residency in the city of Querétaro, Mexico, which is in the highland central area of Mexico. So right in the center of the country, mountainous valley, 6,100 feet above sea level. So it was cool. The temperature swings were like 40 degrees. Like it'd be like 40 degrees in the morning and 76 or 80 in the afternoon. So we had to bring winter clothes with us. But the question you're asking,
right, is
why did you pick Querétaro? So
what is Querétaro?
Yeah.
All of that, I'm
so
sure.
Querétaro is 3 hours north of Mexico City. It's the second fastest growing city in Mexico, behind Mexico City. There's about 2 million people. So for comparison, Charlotte has 3 million people. Austin, Texas has 2 million people. So equivalent to an Austin, Texas in terms of number of people. But the main reason we picked Querétaro was because of the ease and the speed that we could get our card. So we literally, once we book our appointment, it would take us a day at maximum to get the cards. There are some cities I had done research on, it may take 3 days, a week. It just kind of depends.
And a lot of those cities that may take longer and it wasn't a sure thing are like the tourist areas.
Yeah, yep.
And I mean, I don't know, but we were hearing things about Cancun and Playa del Carmen.
Right.
I think Puerto Vallarta was pretty good. But there were just some mixed reviews on the length of time and things that some of those smaller offices, if the printer was down or you couldn't make an appointment, or you couldn't make an appointment until you got in the country and that type of thing. And we knew that we wanted to really kind of be in and out in one day, maybe allow 2 business days tops in case we had to go back for a reason. So when Jace had done all of his research about Querétaro, and I was like, I don't know where this is, but the more that I researched it, the more that I was like, okay, this sounds like a good spot. And the other thing is that there may be more, but I know that they have nonstop flights from Houston, Dallas, and Atlanta.
LA.
And we took a flight from Charlotte to Dallas, and then Dallas to Querétaro, and we were there in half of a day part. I mean, we had a 5 a.m. flight and got to Querétaro at 11:30 local time.
Yeah, they have an international airport, which is good. They have several large companies that have expats there from Korea, Japan, China, and the U.S. So it's a modern city. They've got modern conveniences like H-E-B, Costco, Walmart, Sam's Club, out in the suburbs, and I think the second largest mall maybe in Latin America. We didn't get to go to that or visit any of those, but we know that they exist. So if this is a place we actually would consider living in retirement, it's got a lot of the creature comforts, but not too large of a city.
Right.
So the next question you're probably asking yourself is, well, how did you find your facilitators? Because we use the facilitation service. So that's like an immigration specialist. They deal with the immigration office there. And we chose Host Relocation Service. Shout out to Yvonne Pavan, who's one of the co-owners. She was wonderful. And I found her on another YouTube channel. Alex Whitman has a channel on getting Mexican residency. And I'd seen her interview her a couple times. What I really loved about her company was the one-stop shopping. They do immigration. They help set up our ride to and from the airport. They fill out all your paperwork. They do everything like electronically through email. We sent all the appropriate forms and the things she needed to set up our appointment. So it was just wonderful in terms of that. They also do real estate. They'll help you find real estate. They'll help you set up a bank account, help you get what's called an RFC number or a tax ID to set up the bank account. So they can help with all of that.
Yeah, so I mean, we highly recommend, especially if you are not fluent in Spanish, using a facilitator for that process. There are facilitators, I think, in all the states of Mexico and all these cities and that type of thing. But we knew that we wanted to do that, and you engaged with Yvonne months ago.
Yeah, months ago.
Right.
Like last year.
Right.
Like it would have been around September because that's what we went to.
After we got back from Raleigh. Right. Because Yvonne was the one and her team that helped make the appointment. So to coordinate all of that. So we highly recommend a facilitator. And we actually did an interview with Yvonne that we will be uploading. So be on the lookout for that. We'll link that in the description below to find out more about why, how her background, why choose a facilitator. But that's coming as well. And that will be on the channel soon.
So talking a little bit about the process in terms of Sunday when we got in from the airport and whatnot.
So when we arrived, one of the things that happened in Raleigh is that in our passport, they put a sticker. I don't know if there's really a name for it. It's a visa, your Mexican visa. And that's the one that has that 6-month expiration date. And so we were told that when you arrive in country, don't go to any type of scanner or kiosk. Now, Queretaro's airport didn't have it. It was human. Everybody got off the plane and everybody had to go talk to a human. And so Jason,
at the time of this video, because I saw them, it looked like they were installing the face scan machine. So at the time, they didn't have those set up and working yet.
But that's just, I think, a universal thing is that when you have that visa and you go to the country, make sure that you talk to a human. And so the agent that we talked to, he looked at our passports, he stamped it, and he wrote Canje, Canje, and 30 days.
Yeah, and I told him, I when I got up to the counter, because I went first, I said, quiero mi canje, por favor, en mi pasaporte para, 30 días, por favor. So he said, and I said, mi esposo también. so he knew what I was saying. I don't know if I said it quite right, but he knew enough to, okay.
So when you arrive in country, don't open up your passport to a blank page. Open it up to that Mexican visa because you don't want to be stamped as a tourist. And then by him writing Canje in 30 days, and I believe Canje means change.
It means exchange.
Exchange.
You want to exchange your visa for your residency
card. Your residency card. But once you get there and you get in country, you have 30 days to initiate the process. So that's not just for Querétaro, that's anywhere. So when you get into the country, you have 30 days. And if you let those 30 days expire or you leave without it, you have to start the whole process over. It's my understanding.
Exactly.
So we went through that, made it fine, and we had set up with Yvonne, one of the drivers, to come pick us up, took us to the hotel, and later that afternoon, around 4:00, we had a meeting with Yvonne, and
we met her in the courtyard.
Yeah, she came to our hotel, met in the courtyard. She had paperwork because I don't know that process as far as like an hour later from when we came in the country.
Oh, your FMM form. That basically shows when you've entered the country on your Canje. So Yvonne had told me that it'll take about an hour after you land. That should be in the system. She can pull it because we would need that for our appointment with immigration, which was the next day on a Monday.
Right. Right. So we met with her. It didn't take long. We actually were just doing more chit-chatting, but she had some paperwork that we had to sign. She had pulled that information, and then we ended up giving her our passports.
Yes.
So she took our passports for that evening, and then telling us that she would give them to us at the appointment the next morning. So she came the next morning and picked us up. I think our appointments were at 11.
11:30.
11:30.
We were there at 11:15.
Right.
Be there 15
So
minutes
she picked us up, provided the transportation to the immigration office, which was about 15-20 minute drive. And Jice, you want to talk about that office?
Yeah. So we got let in through security, the front gate. They let us in. She spoke to the security officers. They let us in. It was a 2-story building, so we go upstairs to the second floor where they're doing the visa process. And there at least when we got there was a fairly plump security guard. Half the shirt was hanging out. Me and Lynn were chuckling ourselves. If you saw the movie Friday After Next, the security, top flight security, that's what they reminded us of.
Right.
The security, all the security guards there was funny. Like mall cops, the equivalent of no guns or anything like that.
No.
But man, they were on it. They made sure they had a couple of signs saying, you are not allowed to use your phone. There are no cameras. You can't record anything here.
Right.
So they were checking, seemed like every 10 minutes, the security guard would walk out, check everybody, make sure they didn't have their phone out or were using.
Right. There was a security guard, and that was very important. There was a security guard in the waiting room, and it wasn't necessarily even that you can't, talk on your phone. You couldn't have your phone out. So if you pulled your phone out, they were coming and, coming over to you and saying no. So the waiting room was pretty full.
Very full,
Yeah, but they had lots of, I guess, representatives or something behind the window, probably about 3 or 4 people that were servicing people.
Yeah. They had very hard benches. That's a consistent theme from, if you saw the Raleigh video, those benches were hard and wood. These were hard and metal.
Yeah, not comfortable.
Yeah, not comfortable. So if you need something, a cushion, a seat cushion, you go there, you may need to bring it just to make it a little more comfortable. But we had to go up, to the window 3 times a piece?
Right. Yvonne took us up. Jice started because I guess that she kind of checked in or whatever. And they did us because we were filing kind of separately, not necessarily together. We both kind of had to do it independent of each other. And so Yvonne took Jice up, and at the first time you're signing a couple of forms and paying the money. And
with the credit card.
With the credit card. They take credit card, and it was $53 at the time for what we paid or something. I don't know. It was in pesos, but we pay with a credit card, and then you go back and you sit down. And we sat down and waited probably 20-30 minutes. Then they called us back up, and the second time signed a couple of more pieces of paper. And at that point they took our picture and our fingerprints.
My picture went fairly smoothly, no issues. Lynn, on the other hand,
from the standpoint of picture.
For females or people with long hair.
Anybody with long hair. One of the things that they definitely are a stickler about is that you can't have any hair covering your face. And so when I had gone up the first time, the person that I had, she gave Yvonne a bobby pin. And so I had to go to the bathroom because even though my hair is short, I still had to pull it back off of my face for the picture. So just in case you're going and you have any kind of hair that's coming in face, bring a clip, bring a pin or something, because you really they have to have your full forehead and no hair hanging down. So even my short hair, I thought I would escape, but she was like, no, gotta clip it back.
Yeah, so that was the
second
photo.
The photo part. And then went back, sat down, and probably about 15-20 minutes later, they call you back up, and you have your card. You check to make sure everything's correct on it. And that was it. I got called second, but I got finished earlier because I think Jice's person was working on a couple of different people.
Something was going on with the printer.
Right.
I was like, oh Lord, please work today. So it only took another 15-20 minutes.
Right. So all in all, we were in and out in less than 2 hours and had our temporary residency cards. So one of the things about our cards, they expire in a year. And so we will go back as far as what's next. We actually have probably at least 1, maybe 2 trips to Mexico planned, more for leisure, vacation, not sure totally where we're going. this year, but we do need to go back within a year. And what's
we need to talk about leaving the airport. Too.
Oh, leaving the airport.
Leaving the
That's
country.
right. Let's talk about that.
Very important. When you leave the country, you have to go to the I&M office or window. It depends on the setup of the airport, but at least in Querétaro, when you come in the airport, it's like to your right, there's this little window. Nobody's there, but there's this little button, like with a blue light on it. You press the button.
Yeah.
We pressed it a couple times, and the lady finally came out.
It rings somewhere back in the offices.
So you give them your passport and your card, and then what did they gave us a form to fill out?
They had a form
that
we filled out, and they had to fill out, and I think they stamped it. And so
yes, they do a front and back.
Right. Now, we did not check any luggage, so we got that form, and then we went through security, and we went to the gate, and then once we boarded, when we were boarding, we had to scan our boarding pass, and they took that form. So when you're leaving the country, you have to go to that I&M office first to get that piece of paper, and that is before security and ideally before you check in. So that's going to be our process now. Anytime we come in, we can't do the scan, we need to see a human, and then when we leave, we need to get this form and hand it to the, gate agent when we leave.
And the form basically just registers with the country that you're a resident, but you've officially left the country, so they know your comings and goings as a resident. So, and when we come into the country, we just have to present our card. We don't have to use our passport anymore, just show that we're a resident. So that's the process going forward.
Okay. So those are things that we have to do, because I think we've been told that if you mess up any of those steps, it can really mess up your whole process.
Yes.
So what's next, as I was saying, we'll probably go to Mexico for probably just personal leisure trips, once, maybe twice the rest of this year. But we do have to go back because we got a 1-year temporary resident card. So we have to go back before that card expires. And how many days? We can't go before 30 days before it expires. Yeah. So it's not like you can go 2 months in advance and try to get and renew it. You have to be in that 30-day window. So we'll go back. We will work with Host Relocation. They already have it kind of a ticker, so they'll come, they'll set up the appointment. And our hope and intent is that when we go back in a year, that we will renew our temporary residency for 3 years. Because to become a permanent resident, if you don't get it immediately when you can apply for it, then as a temporary resident, you have 4 years. And then you can automatically transfer it into a permanent residence. Right. So we're hoping that when we go next year, we'll get a 3-year residency card. And I think the only difference really is that it just costs more. You just have to pay more for it. And we'll go through the process. It sounds like it'll be the same type of thing, get a 3-year card. And then when that expires, we'll turn that card in for permanent residence.
And then we're officially Mexican.
Right.
Residents.
Not looking, there's a whole nother process, I think Jay said, for citizenship. We're not looking at that now, which you can do. And there's a time limit for that too, but we're not doing that right now. It's important for us to just have options. As we said in our previous video, we do believe that, just with the climate of things in this country, with the way that, having the option of being resident and not sure whether we want to stay, we may want to stay more than 6 months in a country, in Mexico. And it may be a place that we end up living. And we know that ideally the requirements are probably not going to get any easier. If anything, they're going to be more strict or harder to achieve. And so this was the time for us. And so we highly encourage anyone that is really thinking about it, do your research. We're happy to help. If you have some questions, jump in the comments. Yeah. Let us know where you are. Where are you thinking as far as residency? Is it Mexico? Is it another country? What the process is. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments and let's continue this dialogue.
And if you're looking at Mexico, put what city or area you're looking at. I'd love to hear. And then why you're interested in that particular location. But before we go, I do have a question for Lynn. Mm-hmm. So Lynn, yes, what did you think of the people that we met in Querétaro before we leave this video?
Oh, people were wonderful. Okay. It was, and we planning on doing a Querétaro video as well. So be on the lookout for that. We had the trip and we were documenting. We were documenting everything. Of note, the food was good. The people were wonderful and friendly. We got a little bit better on our Spanish, although you're pretty good and that type of thing. Everybody was fascinated with my curly hair. Not everybody, but there were quite a few people that were very fascinated with my curly hair. But I really enjoyed it, and it's a very charming city, a mix of old and new, and we stayed in the older area. And so just beautiful, and I think it's just great, and I appreciate you doing kind of the looking and the research, because everybody knows about Mexico City. Right. Everybody knows about Cancun. Everybody knows about Puerto Vallarta. Everybody knows about Tijuana, you know. But I had never heard of Querétaro. And since we've been back and told people that we've been, they're like, where is that? What? Yeah. That type of thing.
It's like this mystery city, but and it's actually a pretty big city.
It's a pretty big city. And so it really felt good to go someplace and explore and get kind of, you know, immersed for 3 or 4 days in another place. So I loved it, and I'm glad that's where we picked. I'm glad that that'll be the spot that we go to next year. I'm looking forward to probably seeing more of the city when we go back. But yeah, 2 thumbs up on Querétaro.
Very good.
So before we sign off, as always, hopefully give this a thumbs up and a like if you like this video. Share it with somebody else, and please don't forget to subscribe. Jice and I are being very intentional about growing this channel this year, and we need people that are subscribing to the channel to help us grow and reach our goals with this channel. So we appreciate you for watching.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on the next Gen X Quench video.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.